Most of the calls, the bulk of the calls were by Mr. Mokgotsi and not the other way around. Do you agree with that?
Chair, I'll agree with you. And in my agreement...
Let me continue with the point. I just wanted to see if you agree or not, so you say you agree. Now, if I understand the respondent's case correctly, it is that Mr. Mokgotsi was persistently knocking at the door of the chief evidence leader, and he was the one, through, amongst others, calls. The many calls which you accept largely came from him, Mr. Mokgotsi. So he was knocking at the door of the chief evidence leader, seeking to be assisted. So he is the one that was seeking to be assisted. And if I understand the case, that is amongst others shown by the fact that he made several calls. He is the one that largely made calls to the chief evidence leader and not the other way around. That's how I understand the case. So we may not know the content of the calls, but the point appears to be that from the fact that he is the one that made most of the calls, that appears to be an indication that he is the one that was, if I am to speak loosely, was seeking the chief evidence leader out. Do you get my point? Go, for example, to page 95, 96 as well. And there you will see miss voice call, miss voice call, miss voice call, miss voice call. And all of those, and next page 96, miss voice call, miss voice call. There's another one, miss voice call, and all the way down. I'm sure you could go on and on. 97 as well, same thing. All of those are miss voice calls coming from Mr. Mokgotsi. So it's Mr. Mokgotsi who's seeking out the chief evidence leader. It's not the chief evidence leader who's desperately trying to get hold of Mr. Mokgotsi. It is Mr. Mokgotsi who appears to be desperately wanting to get hold of the chief evidence leader. So I'm saying, yes, we do not know the content of the conversations, or rather, what conversations actually took place where there were calls that were taken between them. But from the fact that Mr. Mokgotsi appears to have been the one seeking out the chief evidence leader, that may well be, I'm not deciding that point, I'm engaging you on it. That may well be an indication that it is Mr. Mokgotsi who wanted assistance from the chief evidence leader and not the other way around, as Mr. Mokgotsi is suggesting in his application. What's your comment? And comment specifically on the several calls that Mr. Mokgotsi is making here.
Chair, on page 95, I concede that...
It's not only 95, it's 95. I took you to 95, 96, 97, and I'm sure
yes, Chair, I'm moving through the pages.
Yes.
Now, if I may be allowed to start with the first page, which would be 95. Chair, I concede that there is a missed call that came from Mr. Mokgotsi. Now, there's a call that goes back to Mr. Mokgotsi with a duration of 3 minutes that comes from the evidence leader. Subsequent to whatever that was discussed in that call, there's a question that comes from Mr. Mokgotsi that says that, how do you protect me? The next question says, this guy, I believe that Sana maybe wants to take me down. It's open to...
Yeah, how the respondents have read that, they quote this as is, and then in brackets they say, this guy wanna take me down, something like that.
That is what how I understand it.
This guy wants to take me down, yes.
Now, Chair, the calls move further towards the night, and well, I suspect that the both of them at some point went to bed. Now, on the 10th of March, there's a missed call in the morning. If Chair moves to page 96, there's subsequent missed calls, and then there's a text that comes in which says that, are you proceeding with him or are you gonna need info prior? Again, Chair, what info does the evidence leader require prior to questioning Mr. Suleiman?
The evidence leader the chief evidence leader says that Mr. Mokhodzi made the offer that he had information, new information to give to the chief evidence leader.
Now, Chair, with regards to that, Mr. Mokhodzi further says that during this phone call, there was a discussion about additional information that the evidence leader sought, which was in the form of proof of payments and bank statements. And then he then says in his affidavit that he became aware on that 10th of March that the evidence leader has gotten hold of these proof of payments and the bank statements. Now, he further asks, thought you may need something. Now, Chair, my submission is that the commission may look at it to say that Mr. Mokhodzi is the one who reached out. And according to these records, indeed that is the case. Now, when Mr. Mokhodzi reaches out, the evidence leader also entertains him. And he could have been told off, he could have
Why should that be the case? Why should he tell him off? If he says, I have information, it is information that is relevant to what the commission is about. I want to give you that information. Why should the evidence leader not be interested in that? And we know, for example, that the chief evidence leader was not cagey or secretive, confidential about any of this. Remember, there are texts written to two other people within the commission. I think it's two. Yes, one is definitely an investigator, and there's another second one. I don't know whether that's also an investigator.
And somebody else.
Yes, two investigators. Yes. So he said, I have an appointment with Mr. Mokhodzi to consult with him. And that's basically on the new information that Mr. Mokhodzi says he has. Can you please join me? If the chief evidence leader wanted to act improperly, do you think he would have invited other people to come listen to him? Going to say to Mr. Mokhodzi, I want you to give any dirt you can give me on Mr. Karim. I'm going to get him and I will protect you. Would he have acted in that manner?
Chair,
or perhaps let me go back to my initial question, which is, to use your language, why should he have told him off? If he said, I have information, why should he not listen to what that information is? That's the first point. And then the second point is, if there was anything the matter with regard to his conduct, that is the chief evidence leader, would he have invited other people to come witness what he wanted to do? And please answer both questions.
On the first question, Chair, there is nothing underhanded with the behavior of the evidence leader when he called two other parties or members, if I may so put it without labels, who form part of the team for the commission to come with him when he goes to meet with Mr. Mokhodzi. Now, then the question turns on, would he have done that if he knew that he was going to do something underhanded with Mr. Mokhodzi? Chair, the allegation here is not anything underhanded. It's got nothing to do with underhandedness. It's the phobia that...
I understood it to be Mr. Mokhodzi's case that everything about what the chief evidence leader did was underhanded. So what you are saying
No,
now
no, Chair.
seems to cut across that case.
No, Chair, what he
Yes,
says,
yes.
what he says is he wanted valuable information. He wanted me to throw Karim Suleiman under the bus. He wanted to give him something that would embarrass Suleiman. Now, in the event that I cannot do that,
So are you now saying that there was basically nothing wrong that the chief evidence leader did? Which you cannot say if your case is that the chief evidence leader must be taken out of this case. You cannot possibly say there's nothing wrong he did.
Chair, there has been interactions. I want to select a word wisely. There has been interactions between the evidence chair and Mr. Mokgotsi, which chair have strained whatever relation that they might have had. And to demonstrate that even prior to the recusal application,
I'm going to get lost. I'm very, very sorry. My most sincere apologies, but I'm going to get lost. My first question to you was, why do you say that the chief evidence leader ought to have told Mr. Mokgotsi off? Again, I'm using your language. When Mr. Mokgotsi was saying, I have information for you, information that is relevant to the commission, why should the chief evidence leader not listen to Mr. Mokgotsi to hear what the information is? Maybe instead of what I did earlier, which was to ask two questions, let me ask that one question and get your response on it.
Chair, in response, I will submit that when Mr. Mokgotsi was giving testimony, the evidence leader labeled him a liar. Now, you have this person who's a liar, and he comes to you and he says he has information, and you take the word of a liar and you entertain him and you run with that information.
But have you seen what the chief evidence leader's treatment of what you've just said is in his affidavit? Have you seen that?
Yes, Chair, I've seen it.
What does he say? Let me tell you, to save time. The chief evidence leader says that I would still listen or consider what Mr. Mokgotsi says. But from where I am sitting, because Mr. Mokgotsi has been shown to be a liar, I would want to have corroboration of whatever it is that he were to tell me. That's his response. So I think that answers the hypothetical question you are raising.
Chair, I'll respond by saying that the corroboration comes after they have engaged each other for 2 days. It comes late on the 10th of March. They make an appointment to meet at 13
I'm not sure I
4.
get I'm not sure I get what you mean by referring to corroboration coming to the fore. Because corroboration would only be after the chief evidence leader had received the information. Then as to what he would do with regard to how that gets corroborated is something that would arise after receipt of the information. So I don't follow.
I'm in agreement with the Chair.
Yes.
Why I'm raising this issue, Chair, there's numerous phone calls.
Yes.
There's messages, there's missed calls, there's emojis that come for a period of 2 days. And the appointment is finally confirmed on the second day at 16:13. And they've been engaging each other for 2 days with telephone calls that, as I had previously submitted, I know nothing about, and the commission doesn't know the contents thereof.
But I think we all agree, though, that whatever was said in those phone calls was not about the actual content of what Mr. Mokhodzi could or would have said, because that is exactly what the consultation was to be about. So, no question of any corroboration at that stage. So, yeah.
I'm in agreement, Chair.
I will stop there and say, subject to whatever issues my co-commissioners may want to raise, you may continue with your argument, and I'll try not to disturb you any further.